and it's like I've had 7 different Mercedes, and I look at Mercedes like, doesn't do anything for me. And in your mind, because I'm going to the next level, what does Richard Branson have? Well, his airlines. Well, I want a jet.
Well, here's what it boils down to, because when I see big badass things and people who own big badass things, someone that we both follow now, and I've told you about him, Patrick. The dude just bought a $20 million estate on the water in Florida.
Oh, I saw
$20 million estate. The dude only has a wife and 3 children, so it's just them 5 and a $20 million estate. Now, you can either look at it as in several different ways. Wow, that's so awesome. He can afford this. He owns a company. He's worth a couple $100 million. Man, I'll never have that. Or you could look at it as like, oh, fuck, this guy's materialistic. He's buying whatever he wants, like whatever. Or I look at it as, what type of mindset, what type of person does it take to get to that level of wealth, to run that kind of a company, to be able to just purchase a $20 million estate cash without it even phasing his bank account? What type of person do you have to be in order to do something that big? That's how I look at it. Because then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to study that.
Right, and you know him fairly well.
I know him personally.
Right, but here's what I found out from David. David said, I had a friend say, oh, do you like this music? Do you like this song? He said, buddy, and I'm paraphrasing, shutting this down, the last 15 years, I wasn't listening to music. I was mentally preparing my mind. He said music didn't come on in his car. He had no music on his car. He had things that would motivate him. He was trying to learn to elevate his game for 15 years. So they came to that house that you're talking about. Dude, and he said, oh, you know this track? You know this music? He's like, no, who is it? He literally didn't know who, I won't say the artist, top artist. We all know.
Right.
Most people know. But at the same time, I said, wow, 15 years. I've been there where there's no TV. There's no shows. And I was grinding and I went to this level. Then I kicked back like we just talked about, took a break.
Took your foot
and
off
I
the
watched
pedal.
every freaking Netflix episode during COVID. I'm like, what am I doing?
And everything flew by you.
Everything flew by me. I'm like, you know what? If I don't
shit.
get off my freaking ass, I'm going to be sitting here like 08 crying. I have no money and I have to play cash games, poker to make a living like I did last time.
And I introduced a vehicle to you this time around. You're like, I'm not missing that opportunity.
And you know what? I didn't. And Sean, you didn't show me. You told me about it. I didn't see shit on paper. I pulled out a check and wrote a big check and said, here. And I was like, I get it. And you're like, well, here, Daverick, I don't need to read that. I'll get it later. And I had a relative come to me and say, Daverick, tell me about this company. Explain the ups and downs. I said, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm this guy now. I didn't have time. I missed a lot of power waves. And I just signed the check and handed it over. I said, if you want to call him and talk to this guy and that guy and ask him more about the startup, go ahead. But here's what I know. This works. This is what it's done. Here's the check, Sean. Right? Why? Because I don't want to miss the power wave.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. And this vehicle alone is going to make a lot of people a lot of money.
Oh, it will.
That jump in.
Oh, it will.
And that family member jumped in also because they actually did end up doing their homework. They read everything. They're like, holy crap.
I'm like me, right?
Yeah, but her and her son bought in. They were like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. This is the need in the world.
But again, and that's where you can either be, are you going to look at things as opportunities and vehicles that can get you to a certain place financially and life-wise and freedom-wise, or are you going to look at it as like, whatever, not for me, or fuck it, or I don't feel like doing it, or they're just over-exaggerating. Like, here's one thing that I always say. It kind of ties into all this stuff. And it's really frustrating that people kind of have the opposite thinking. When you take advice from somebody, do you actually look at the person? I was like, does this person have a life, or do they even look like they're gonna have a life that I would want? And if the answer is a clear no, then shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, if I didn't believe that I was going somewhere, if I wasn't making the type of money that I'm making now, if I wasn't going to a certain place that I know where I'm going, you know where I'm going, you know where I'm about to land in the next 24 months, then I would have no right to try to preach to people how and what they should do on how to develop where they're currently at and becoming the next best version. I'm like, hey, look, this is how it's going to be. but this is what it also requires.
Right.
You know, like, and you know what? I can confidently, without trying to be arrogant, say that I know I do and make what a lot of people would want. So yeah. And when someone comes to me and tries to give me advice, it's like, well, look, motherfucker, like you don't have, make, nor have the ethic of anything that I would want in life.
Right.
So don't talk to me.
Right.
We can be friends.
And I know Sean. Sean will say this to somebody.
Yeah.
He's the warrior. We're both warriors. I'm the silent but deadly, but he's the in your face warrior, right? He's that guy.
Yeah.
We make a good team.
I'll go for the kill right on the
Right.
bat, you know, but that's what it is. And that's what I tell a lot of my students too, is like, listen, well, that's what I said. What you consume is who you become. So if you're going to consume information from anybody, make sure they are doing something or have something in their life or are making something or have some type of a performance level that you would want
Right.
that they have.
Right.
If they have none of that, they don't listen to them.
No.
Because you know what? You know how many people think they're fucking experts? You know how many people are Instagram experts? They've been watching shit on Instagram and social media for the last 3, 4, 5 months. Now all of a sudden they're fucking mental health experts.
Instagram ruins people's minds. I mean, you can look at the stuff, but there's people who spend 30 minutes on Instagram, and I'll say, what did you look at? Oh, I don't know. I was just scrolling for 30 minutes. You spent 30 minutes looking at nothing. And the worst one's TikTok. You be on there. People are on there for 4 to 5 minutes an hour. Don't get me wrong. It's someone entertain me. But what did you learn? What did you look at?
Are you following bullshit or are you following valuable things?
A chick dancing. Well, yeah, she looked great, but you just missed a whole hour of production.
Right. There's one or two. That's what I'm saying. Like, are you following and watching stupid things, or are you following and absorbing valuable things?
And the other thing too, I found that people that complain, right? It's called constipation, participation, right? So complaining has no value, right? And then they'll complain about it, and then they'll sit back and not do anything about it to participate in the activity or the event or the vehicle to get them from point A to Z. Not A to B. I'm talking about Z. Because
A to B is easy.
Right. We talked about that.
10 steps.
10 steps. Because if it's always about you, you're going to be stuck at A. Right? Why do I say that? Because we're...
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you just said it. You don't go into business for yourself to be in business for yourself. You go into business for the purpose and intention to serve others, to help others. That's why you go into business. You go into business to change other people's lives, and by doing that, the universe will come around full circle and give you a life of abundance.
Right, and people are going to challenge you.